Okay, so let's look at the reading test. We shall continue with the Saturday session. So then we look at the reading test. Alright, so the IELTS reading test is the aspect of the test that evaluates or assesses your ability to read passages or information and provide answers to what you have read. So in reading test, it is considered to be the easiest aspect of the IELTS test. That's how a reading test is considered. That is the easiest. And the reason they call it the easiest or they see it to be the easiest is because in reading test, you are given 60 minutes to read all the information contained in the reading booklet and answer the question, 40 questions. Now, it is expected that if you are a fast reader, you should be able to read any passage or any extract as many times as possible to get your answers. It's not like the listening test where I consider to be a flowing stream. If any part of the question passes you by, it's gone forever, right? It's never played twice. But in reading test, it is seen that you have all the opportunities you need to read as many times as you can. So that's why it's seen or perceived or considered to be the easiest aspect of the test. And for that reason, the marking scheme is very strict. So you need to really do so well in your reading test to achieve a high band score. As a matter of fact, the highest you should fail or get wrongly in your reading test should be 4. 4 out of 40. So you're expected to score about 36 out of 40 in your reading test. Alright? And it's something you can actually do, so we don't have any issue with that. Alright, so let's begin. For the reading test, you are strongly tested on your ability to pay attention to details in the information or passages that you are reading through. So, and then testing your ability to pay attention to details also entails you being tested on your vocabulary exposures, your wealth or bank of vocabulary. So when you read a passage, do not expect the questions to be asked using the same words that you saw in the passage. So they use the substitute words, the synonyms of those words in the passage to ask you questions. So if you are not conversant with vocabularies, you will assume or conclude that the answers are not there. Right? So in reading test, a lot of things are being thrown at you to see your exposure in so many things, such as vocabularies, fast reading skills, ability to comprehend information, ability to locate where answers are hidden and all that. So for that, we have these important keys which you are advised to apply. So these important keys is what we call the 3 T's. The 3 T's include the trick, also known as the bracket trick. Then we have the tips, and of course, the techniques. Now to begin, let's look at the trick. For the trick, or the bracket trick, it is the application of a part of your answer that you are not so sure if it should be there in bracket. It is the practice of applying bracket around the word or a part of your answer that you're not so sure if that word should be there. There are situations when you would write or find or listen and hear your answer, and you would write maybe a word or 2 words, but you are not so sure. Is this one word not enough? Let me just write the second one. So that second one that you are putting just for the sake of having it there, it can cause you or cost you your answer. It may either, if it's not required to be there, it means your answer is actually incorrect. But if it is required to be there, then lucky you, right? So to play safe, whether it is required or not, to play safe, you apply the bracket around it. That's why we call it a bracket trick. Alright? So how does it work? So when you get those answers, you need to identify the word amongst the answers that you feel is the primary answer, the main answer there. So the other answer can be your supporting word. Do you understand this? So that supporting word has to be left in bracket. Just put bracket around it, and that's all. So if the main answer, the primary one that you left open without being put in bracket, if it is the only answer that is required, the IELTS examiner will ignore the one that is in bracket and mark you correct. If the IELTS examiners have actually factored the answer to be the two words, both the one that is open and the one that's in bracket, they would acknowledge the two because they are all there. But if you write two answers, whereas what they want is only one word, your answer is wrong. They won't say, okay, he has the right answer here, so let's just ignore the other one. As long as it's not in bracket, there's nothing to ignore. Alright? So, let's understand how to apply the bracket trick. The application of the bracket trick works hand in glove with two words. Pardon me, works hand in glove with instructions. The application of bracket trick works strictly with instructions. Right? Now, when you go through a section and you see or find this instruction, no more than two words and or a number, how might you interpret this instruction? What does it mean? If you are faced with this instruction, what do you think it means?
It simply means that you should not have like two words. Like, let's say, I buy a car or something. So it will be, I bought instead of I buy it. Something does, it should be the two words sharp, one with another one. It must not be more than two, and the number it must not be singular. One number, like one, you should not put anything after it.
Okay, so what you're emphasizing on right now is that your answer should not go beyond how many words?
2 words.
2 words, beyond 2 words. And if you're required to also have a number, it should be what? Just a number, right? Thank you. Now, yes, that's correct. You also need to understand that the true interpretation of this instruction is that your answer can be a one-word answer. Your answer can be one word and a number. It can also be 2 words. It can as well be 2 words and a number. And then lastly, your answer can just be a number without a word. Okay, so these are the true interpretation of this instruction. So if an instruction says no more than 2 words and or a number, it doesn't mean that your answer has to be 2 words all through. It doesn't mean that. It means your answer can fall between 1 word to 2 words, or just a number, or 1 word a number, 2 words a number, or just a number without even a word. So it also emphasizes on the fact that you should not write more than 2 words. Going Writing more than 2 words automatically makes your answer incorrect. Do you understand? So you have to learn to understand that when you have an instruction, it is key for you to actually interpret it rightly or correctly, so you are one step in the right direction, right? So when you read and find a 2-word answer, for instance, hot chocolate. Hot chocolate. Do you eat chocolate? Okay. Hot chocolate is a 2-word answer, right? Now here, it doesn't mean that compulsorily you should have 2 words. It doesn't mean that. It's not compelling you to ensure you have 2 words. It means your answer can just be one of these words or the 2. Right? So if you write 2 words this way, and what the examiners factored out to be the correct answer is just 1 word out of this, it means your 2 words will make your answer incorrect. Do you understand? So, to play safe, you need to decide which of these words is the primary answer. Which of these words is your primary answer? Is it this or that? So we need to find out what this word represents in this context. So hot is more like an adjective describing the condition or status of the chocolate, whereas chocolate is more like a noun, the name of a particular edible, right? So out of adjective and noun, it is apparent that the noun is the primary answer, right? Unless the question is asking you the type of chocolate you should eat. That's when hot becomes the key answer. Is that correct? So if it is the name of what is being eaten, then it is chocolate. So in this case, hot is a supporting word and should be left in bracket. Do you understand this? So when this happens, if the examiner, while marking your script, just wants you to write only chocolate without hot, definitely, because the hot is in bracket, your answer is perfectly correct. Yes.
What if the hot is after the chocolate?
If the hot is after chocolate hot, how will it sound?
I didn't really stick on it.
Chocolate hot? Of course, there are situations where your answer, the supporting word will be on the right, while the main answer will be on the left. It's not fixed that your main answer has to be on the right. No. It depends on the question. And it's not also fixed that the main answer or primary answer has to be the noun. No. It depends on the question. The question is seeking the description or descriptive word, then it's hot. If it wants the major object, it is chocolate. Do you understand? So, if what is being demanded or looked out for is hot, then of course hot will not be in bracket, chocolate has to be in bracket. Is it clear? Now in this case, if the examiner does not want hot, it will be ignored because of the bracket. If the examiner actually wants both hot and chocolate, they will both be ignored, recognized, right? They will both be acknowledged, right? So with this, you are safe. This places you safe. Do you understand this? Okay. Okay.
It can be a word and a number, two words and a number, three words and a number, or a number.
Perfect. So when you have an instruction that says no more than 3 words and or a number, what it simply means is that your answer can be just a word. It could be a word and a number, it could be 2 words, it could be 2 words and or a number. It can as well be 3 words. It can also be 3 words and a number. It can as well be just a number without a word. Now, if this is your interpretation of this instruction, no more than 3 words and or a number, it will help you to understand that the instruction does not compel you to write 3 words all through, right? So you want to really understand, for you to write an answer and consider it to be correct, you need to factor in the fact, or factor out the fact that it falls between 1 word and 3 words, and in some cases a number without even a word. So the emphasis right here is that do not write more than 3 words. The answer can fall between 1 to 3. So how then can we apply the bracket trick? We can apply the bracket trick when you are writing answers under a section that says no more than 3 words and a number by factoring the 2 words that you feel are supporting words, the main answer. So let's look at an example. The Independence Day. The Independence Day. Now here is a 3-word answer. In some cases, the 3 words may fly. In some other cases, they don't need the 3 words, rather just 2 words. Right? So it's possible that they might want Independence Day without needing this article thing. Right? It's also possible that they might need the 3 words, the Independence Day. Right? So how do you place it? This can be in brackets. Right? Then if you are looking at other words that you want to leave in brackets, so you are looking at independence, right? Or I might actually say day without leaving this independence open. Independence. We are celebrating our independence, right?
Yes.
But we cannot say we are celebrating our day. But we can say we are celebrating our independence. So we have the in bracket, we have the in bracket, and we have day in bracket. So these words each of these words must be left in its independent or individual brackets. You can see that. Now here, independence, which is the primary idea here, freedom, right? Liberty. So the Independence Day is a 3-word answer. But considering playing safe, because it doesn't compel you to have 3 words, you want to look at the primary idea here, which is about independence. So to apply a bracket, if the examiners want only independence, these 2 words that are in brackets will be ignored. If the examiner wants Independence Day without the article thing, this word will be ignored, this one will be acknowledged, and the 2 will fly. Please, do you understand this?
Yes.
So you need to really learn and understand how to apply the bracket trick. So it will help you to stay safe. Because when you find the answer, it's possible that not acknowledging what is basic for you to write may lead to incorrect answer. Okay, so that's how to apply the bracket trick around your answers. Just ensure that you are writing in consonance with the instruction. Let me just emphasize on this. For the bracketry to work for you, you must adhere strictly to instruction. If bracketry says no more than one word, please don't write 2 words and put 1 in bracket and tell the examiner choose any one you like. It will not work. If instruction says no more than 1 word, then do not exceed 1 word. If it says no more than 2 words, do not write 3 words and put 1 in bracket hoping that it will be considered optional. No, you have written 3 words, whereas the instruction says 2, right? So please, for this instruction to work for you, for this bracket to work for you, you must adhere strictly to instructions.
Sir,
Okay.
I wanted to ask, let's say a word like transportation now. You know, you can also write transport. Can you put that station in bracket or something like that?
Okay. When you are treating reading tests, your answers are and must always be that specific word in the bracket. Once you find it, don't try to change the form. Don't try to substitute or paraphrase anything. You have to write it exactly the way it is. Do you understand why you can't put ATION after writing transport? You don't put it in brackets. If in the passage it happens to be transportation, you have to write transportation. Even during your listening test, I think that's where your question is coming from. So during your listening test, is whatever the audio pronounces, that's what you're going to write. Don't try to maybe change the form of the word. No, you're not to paraphrase your answer. You have to write exactly whatever you hear. Same thing applies to reading. You have to write exactly whatever you find in the passage to be your answer. Right? Then you may also be asking or thinking, why are we not having no more than 1 word and or a number? Because normally in reading tests you also find 1 word sections. In reading tests, you find sections that say no more than 1 word. There are sections you write only 1 word. Now, we don't apply the bracket trick under sections that say no more than 1 word. Don't apply bracket trick under such areas. The reason you don't apply the bracket trick is because when you find a word in a sentence or a paragraph, that particular word that you find to be your correct answer is actually written in a form that is perfect for it. So, if you are treating listening tests, for instance, you might find a word such as, or you might hear a word such as bead. 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 Now, at the end of my pronunciation of bead, there is a slight Z, but it's not very pronounced. So when you hear beads, so you might be a little perplexed, confused, if that B comes in plural or singular, right? Beads. So what do? You can put your S in bracket. This is how many words here? How many words do we have here? Are you asking?
It's singular.
This is 1 word. This is 1 word.
Yes.
But you now want to play safe by way of putting the bracket formation in the plural formation in bracket, because you are not 100% sure of what you heard, whether the person pronounced B or bees, but it was not vibrating and loud enough, right? So to play safe, you put the S in bracket. So if what examiners actually factored out to be the correct answer is without the S, since the S is in bracket, it would be ignored, and your answer B will be correct. But if you want bees, the S will be acknowledged, and your answer will still be correct. This is 1 word section in listening test. But in reading tests, if a word used in a sentence is be, just this way, you will see it written as be. So you don't need to try to create an S from nowhere to put in bracket. I don't know if you understand this. If the word used in a sentence is bees, you don't need to put the S in bracket because bees is very correct in that sentence structure. That's why it was used in the first place, right? So this is the reason we don't apply bracket trick in reading test under a section that says one word, because all you need to do is copy and paste just the way it is, right? Okay. All right, let's look at tips. Okay. So if you are treating the reading test, here are two important tips you are strongly advised to consider. The first tip right here says, always read the instruction for each section carefully before attempting any question. Always read the instruction for each section carefully before attempting any question. So, why is it important to read instructions?
It depends on the trick that's put in the question. Like, we want some questions to put more than 2 words, more than 1 word, more than 3 words.
Perfect. So this means reading instruction will help you to identify the number of words your answer should go, right? And with that, you would know whether or not you should apply the bracket trick. Then, reading instruction also will help you to identify if your answer should come in alphabets, A or B or C, and all that, right? Instruction will show this to you. Some instruction will also show you if your answer should come in the Roman numerals, and all that, right? Now, instruction will also help you to understand if you are to choose any 3 letters. Choose any 3 letters from the list of options provided. So when an instruction says choose any 3 letters, what does that mean?
Any 3 letters from this section of letters, like from A to H.
Good. Does it mean your answer should follow the chronological arrangement of letters?
It depends on how the question is structured.
Now, if a question says choose any 3 correct letters for questions 11 to 13, right? From the list of options labeled A to G. This does not require you to try to arrange the letters alphabetically. Don't wait until you hear A before you write it, because your first answer might be D, second answer might be A, third answer might be E. So it doesn't compel you to arrange your answers in the correct order of the alphabet. It says choose any 3. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
And choosing any 3 does not mean you would write DAE for question 11. No. It means between questions 11 and 13, you have to spread your answers. Maybe D for 11, A for 12, and E for 13. I don't know if is it clear?
Yes.
You may also read and you may read instruction and you will notice that it will write choose 3 correct letters for questions maybe 21 to 23. Choose 3 correct letters, not any 3, but 3 correct letters. In this situation, it has to be alphabetical. Do you understand?
Yes, sir.
Now, instruction will also help you to understand if you are to match headings. Instruction would help you to understand it. Instruction will also help you to know the topics that the topic you are treating at each point in time. Instruction will also help you to know that a particular paragraph can solve two different questions. A particular paragraph can solve two different questions. And for this to play out, you would see this instruction. You may use any letter more than once. You may use any letter more than once. What does that mean?
A might be correct for two types of questions.
Good. So A, your answer to question number 2 can be A. Answer to question number 5 can also be A. Do you understand? So if it says not before NB, you may use any letter more than once. Prepare your mind. There must be a paragraph that will answer two different questions. Right? Now, you may also understand that through instructions, you may be required to write whether or confirm if a statement is false, true, or not given. Now, if this is the case, please do not write T, F, and G. Instruction is very specific. It says, confirm if the statement is true, false, or not given. Not T, F, or NG. That's not what the statement says. Right? So, you always follow instructions. It is important to read instructions. Question, the second tip rather. The second tip here says your reading test should follow the approach of reading questions first. Your reading test, you are advised strongly to follow the template of reading or approach of reading your questions first. Reading questions right here does not mean reading from questions 1 to 40. No. It doesn't mean you have to cover 1 to 40 questions. Here, it simply means when you get to a particular section, maybe passage A, there might be just 6 questions for that particular passage. So you are advised to read the questions first before you go to read the passage. Read the questions first. Now, why do you read questions first? You have to read the questions so you would identify the key words in each question. Read the questions so you would identify the key words in each question. It is those key words that the passage will paraphrase when you go to read them. So do not assume or conclude that the answers are not in the passage, because you are not seeing the same words in the question while reading the passage. The examiner or the passage has used synonyms, paraphrase the questions in the passage. Right? Now, to read these questions, you are strongly advised not to read the questions more than once. Do not read each question more than once when you go to check out the keywords in the questions. Maybe the first 6 or first 7 questions. Read each question only once. If you read more than once, your brain naturally may pick interest in a particular question and it will store it there. That is cramming now. Right? Or wrongs work. So when you have crammed a particular question, it means other questions you be reading will not get into your head. Any other word you find may not stick. So all your interest is that particular question you've crammed. So when you go to the passage, The whole reading you'll be doing is basically because of the crammed question. And this it means by implication that for you to answer another question, you must go to read the questions again. But if you read each question once and identify the keywords in each question, what you need to do is, when you identify those keywords, use your pen or pencil and rule under such words. Right? As you rule under such words, the brain finds that word to be of great interest to you, for you to have just underlined it out of many others, right? So it will be there. And when you go to the passage, after reading all the questions and underlining the keywords, when you go to the passage, as you read the passage, you would realize in the course of reading the passage that this particular information here is referring to one of the keywords I've underlined. Do you understand? So as you keep reading the passage and keep finding key information that refer or relate to those underlined words, what you need to do is, with your pencil still, rule those areas in the passage. So you are advised to do a lot of underlining if you're doing the paper-based test. If you're doing the computer-based test, do a lot of highlighting with your mouse. Do a lot of highlighting. Paper-based test, do a lot of underlining. So as you read questions and identify the keywords in them, go to the passage. As you read the passage and find information that you feel are related to those keywords underlined in the question session, rule under those areas in the passage, or circle them, or apply any sign that will help you to realize that this refers to the question. Then after reading the entire passage and doing all your underlining, go back to the questions, but this time you are taking it one question at a time. You are not doing, you are not reading the maybe entire 6 or 7 or 8 questions again. No, you just pick one question. So when you read question 1, for instance, you go to the passage. When you go to the passage, you are not reading the passage anymore. You are rather scanning through those underlined areas to find your answer. Do you understand? So it makes it easier for you, and time management is also good because you are not reading repeatedly. You have established areas that you feel are potential answers to you. So let's look at paraphrasing. What does it mean? What do you think paraphrasing means? Replicating of words. Replicating of words. Do you agree with him?
Replicate, not the same word, but the same words, but changing it in the same meaning, the same context, and then the same context, the same word.
Did you say the same words?
The same like let's say
Please give me the mic.
let's say like disadvantages now. You can also see you see like a synonym, you can also see limitations, disadvantages or something, limitations or something.
Demerits.
Yeah, demerit or something. It's the same word but now
It's not the same word. It's not possible. It can't be the same word.
They are close, similar.
No, you don't understand. You are getting your specialty is 100%.
But they mean the same thing.
Different words, they're not the same.
Yeah.
Advantage, merit. Disadvantage, demerit. Different words but meaning the same thing. Do you understand?
Okay, yeah. Different word with the same.
That's paraphrase. So, paraphrasing is a writing technique of restating an information using synonyms or phrases that still retain the original idea. That's what paraphrasing means. And then in reading tests, examiners do a lot of paraphrasing. A lot of paraphrasing. So when you read a passage, clear your mind. Don't expect those words. Just open your mind. If you are looking for those words, you will not find your answer. Even one, you will not see. The answers are just there. Right? So, in reading tests, paraphrasing plays out at a very high level. For instance, you would see words being paraphrased to figures. You will see figures being paraphrased to words. You may also see words or figures being paraphrased to fractions or percentages. I will also see words or figures being paraphrased to general terminologies. Taking? Now, let's understand how this paraphrasing plays out during your reading test. You would read a passage, or you would read a question, and the question has, perhaps the question talks about $1. These are in words, right? In the passage, when you go to the passage, you would realize that there is no such word as $1. Rather, you might see 100 cents. Is it the same thing?
No, sir.
It's not the same thing. David says it's not the same thing. Is $1 the same as 100 cents? Or do you agree with him?
I don't see it as the same thing.
All right, thank you. Is this the same thing?
It is.
Is it the same thing?
It is.
David, is that the same thing?
Yes.
In Naira,
Yes.
the same thing. But in dollar, it's not the same thing.
No, I don't know how to put it. I've never heard of sense before. That's why I'm trying.
I just try to figure it
No, I
out.
was thinking it was another currency.
Yeah.
You think IELTS is testing you about your Nigerian wahala? IELTS is testing you about global knowledge and exposure. If your knowledge is only about Nigeria and Nigerian wahala, you will not pass IELTS. Let me tell you the truth. You need to know about the global happenings. You need to know about the global practices. A dollar is used in the US. Their lower currency is cents. So a dollar is equivalent to 100 cents. Just the same way a naira is equivalent to 100 kobo. Is that correct? So when you read a question and you are seeing a dollar in the question, and you go to the passage, I said you should begin with reading questions, right? And then you go to the passage, you are not seeing a dollar anywhere, rather you saw somewhere 100 cents. Now that's where your answer will come from, around that. Do you understand? That's a paraphrase. So they have used the word,
different meaning of the same concept.
Different expressions, but the same message. They have used a dollar in a question, and to talk about that question, to look at where the answer should come, they have paraphrased the information there, but it's still retaining the same message. Right? So with that, if you're able to decipher that a dollar is the same as 100 cents, as 100 cents, your answer is around there. Look a little further to find it. Okay? You might also notice that the question may talk about half an hour. These are in words. When you go to the passage, you will not see anything half an hour, you will see 30 minutes. Is it the same thing?
Yes, sir.
So you see that the word has been changed, paraphrased to figure. That's how reading goes. The same thing applies to listening. It's the same approach. When you're taking on your listening test, you read the question in word or read it in figure, but the audio will never use the same word or figure. Audio will not paraphrase it. So when you are not paying attention, you will not realize that the audio is actually treating that question. You will think they are just playing. And before you know, you say the answer and they go to the next number. You have lost that one. Right? So please, you have to be smart. You have to watch out for things like this. So that's how it goes from words to figures, or the reverse, figures to words. Do you understand this? Now let's look at how paraphrasing can also go from words or figures to fractions or percentages. When you see a word such as a quarter, is there any way to paraphrase a quarter to word again? Still word, quarter. A quarter is in word already, right? Is there a way to paraphrase a quarter to word again? Should I talk?
1 quarter.
Okay. Huh?
1 quarter.
1 quarter. Thank you. Just paraphrase it. That's all. Do you understand what he has done? Now let's look at how to paraphrase these guys. How can we paraphrase a quarter or 1 quarter to fraction? 1 over 4. 1 over 4. Are you following me? Right? 1 over 4. You might see it in the reading passage. They might use 1 out of 4 of the total number of children. That's 1 over 4. So if they say 1 out of 4 of the total number of children, what does that mean? They have used the fraction representation. So if you go to the question and you are seeing anything that has to do with quarter of the children, a quarter of the children is talking about that 1 out of 4. Go there, that's where the answer is. Right? Now, how else can we paraphrase this guy from fraction to percentage? This same information, how can we paraphrase it to percentage?
0.25.
Favor. You can drink it in some cases, right? But it shows with your action, you know. Wrong on that. Okay, so you said it's what? 0.25. Is that fraction or decimal? I'm not a science student, I don't know. I'm trying to
I
control.
thought you said percentage. Oh, percentage. 25%.
That sounds good. You see, even though I didn't do science, but I'm still, we're still together. Okay, so that would give you 25%. That's important. Because 425 will give you as a whole, right? Now, you see the different dimensions of this simple expression. It can go. So don't ever feel that they have not gone into that level yet. They may be talking about it, you don't know, because you are not aware that paraphrasing is going on. So you need to be very watch. That's all right. Now let's look at half of an entire. Half of an entire can be paraphrased to fraction as what?
Okay. What about 2 of an empire?
1/2 is half of an entire. Or 2 out of
4.
Thank you. Right? That's half. What about the percentage representation? What would that be? 50%. 50%. Are we following? So these are possible ways paraphrasing can go. Please be careful. Don't completely rule out that the answer is not there. It might just be there, not you. And just you know when someone is covering the mouth and laughing out, the word doesn't go. When your mind is not there yet. So be very careful. Okay, can I clean this? Alright, let's look at the last category, which is words or figures to general terminology. So something like this. Okay, so let's begin. So what you have every day, every day can be expressed as what? Every day can be expressed as daily or 24 hours. Every week,
7 days.
weekly, or every 7 days. Every 2 weeks,
Every 2 weeks. 14 days.
bi-weekly, or every fortnight. Every month, monthly, or every 4 months. Every 3 months, quarterly, every 6 months, every year, every 25 years, or nearly 25 years,
Almost
20 persons.
20 individuals.
Ten years. 30 years. 100 years. 1,000 years. Okay. All right, so these are different ways the paraphrase can come. So you just need to understand how or what you should expect. So if you have everyday routine on your passage or in your passage, when you go to the question, if the question wants to come from or is supposed to come from that section, you will see on a daily basis, that's every day. So read further, you find your answer there. Same thing, weekly, 7 days, every 2 weeks, bi-weekly or fortnight, every month, on a monthly basis, or every 4 weeks, blah, blah, blah. So those are ways these things can be written, right? And for those who are not familiar with them, they think or assume or conclude that it's not there. So you need to be very smart. Okay, so let's quickly go to skimming. What's skimming? Skimming is a very fast reading technique of going in between lines with the aims of completing what you are keeping to read and also having a grasp or an idea of what you have read. It is a fast reading technique applied to go through what is given with the aims of completing what you have read within the time given and also having a grasp or an idea of what has been read. That's skimming. You really need skimming if you want to complete your reading. You need to work on your skimming skills. Else, you might be treating number 25 and it will be announced that you have 20 minutes more. So you need to work on your skimming skills. Next is underlining. Underlining is a very important reading technique that will help you to get your answers easily. So what do you underline? You underline synonyms. You underline phrases that mean the same as the word used somewhere. You underline nouns, naming words, names of places, names of important persons or people in the passage. You underline philosophies and ideologies of the people in the past. Underline their thoughts. Underline their inventions or innovations. Underline quantity. That's number of things. Underline dates. Underline periods, like early 14th century, early 20th century, late those periods. You can underline them. They are potential answers. Underline cited examples. When you have examples cited in the passage. There are also potential answers. But before you go to the next one, let me just explain verbally for better understanding. When you apply the jotting, labeling, or making notes, what it does or what you do with them is, after reading each paragraph, there must be something you ought to have understood from the paragraph. There's a message the paragraph is trying to pass across. So whatever it is, it will not be entitled, but you should pick out what you feel that paragraph is trying to say. So whatever it is you pick out, beside that paragraph, you be that title. You can just, if it's something like modern means of communication, right? Just title it. Do you understand? So it will help you to answer matching headings. All right, let's go to the last techniques right there, which is ruling or crossing out. Ruling or crossing out are reading techniques. Ruling or crossing out are your reading techniques. That help you or help test takers to manage their time. Ruling or crossing out are reading techniques that help test takers to manage their time and also reduce their areas of search for answers. Ruling or crossing out are management techniques that help test takers to manage their time and also reduce their areas of search for answers.